I'm here to catch you up on the last couple of weeks, which have been a little bit chaotic. My intuition is dulled. I'll explain how that happens. My first flight since COVID, and I went gray. I am filming today from our toy hauler garage in the RV, and I'm doing it on purpose. I'll tell you why. But the toy hauler is really great. I just want to interject for people who have had an RV. You know what I mean when you get on the road, you're having fun. Maybe it's like a family of 4 or 5, and the first day you realize, where am I going to put my shoes? Where am I going to put my coats? And they all start piling up right on the couch there by the front door. Something to consider if you're ever going to buy an RV. First thing you should do is look around and go, okay, where are we going to keep our shoes? Because it can be a true problem. But this is wonderful because we keep our coats here, all of our shoes. This is a utility closet that we added. It still fits both of our bikes and our patio chairs and such. And all of the little miscellaneous knickknacks, like Terry went to the grocery store and got this for no reason, which is why I love him. So, and that can get a little crowded in the main space. So that unicorn's hanging out here. But the other thing that's in here is my office. Behind the camera, on the other side of this room is my office. And my office is where I teach people how to hone their intuition. And I meditate in here myself. I meditate, I have my mindfulness time, all the creative work that I do in here. And as a result of that, this area has filled up with really good energy, and I need it right now. I'm gonna tell you why. A couple weeks ago, we spent a month in New Hampshire. Now, that is where family and friends are, and a lot of connections and things like that. So we spent a month, and there was so much human stuff that came at us. The RV went into the shop, doctor's visits, the schedule was just packed, absolutely packed for an entire month nonstop. We were doing something from, the time we got up to the time that we went to bed. And I'm just drained. What I didn't do is I didn't carve out time for myself every single day. And I gotta tell you, when you don't do that for a month, when you've gotten into a pattern of doing it and you don't do that for a month, you can get very drained, very tired. Now, I did have 2 different kayak trips with my son, which totally filled me up. One of those is actually going to be at the end of this video. You'll get to be introduced to my son at the end of this video, which is kind of cool. Those kayaking trips completely filled me up, but that was just 2 days out of 30. The rest of them, I didn't get a lot of me time in there. And when that happens, when you get drained, when you get tired, when there's a lot of human stuff coming at you, your intuition will dull. It's just gonna happen. And I've been teaching students for years, like thousands of students, and I've heard it so many times that they've come back and they've said my intuition was great, it was really strong, and then all of a sudden I can't seem to access it. It's really dull. It's not as sharp as it was. My first question to them is, how much of your human world is pulling at you right now? Because if you've got a lot of chaos, or not even, it doesn't have to be bad chaos, it can be good chaos, a marriage, a new job. If your human world is pulling all of your attention, it's going to clutter your mind. And intuition is all about decluttering your physical environment, your physical body, and your mind. When we can, and not perfect, you don't even have to be perfect with it. You just have to have more of a clear mind. And if you're thinking all day about something in your human life for an extended period of time, the intuition kind of takes a back seat. It never goes away. You're very strong as an intuitive. Everyone is. It's just, it gets put on the back burner, and it happened to me. It happens to everyone, because it's life. It's what it is. And there was nothing bad in New Hampshire. New Hampshire was absolutely wonderful. Nothing went wrong, nothing, no mishaps or anything like that. It was just so much. And we had this routine on the road. We would land somewhere, we'd find all the interesting places. Every day we'd hike, or we'd bike, or we'd walk around the campground. And then I would work for a while, take a break, maybe go fishing for an hour, come back, work a little bit more, and then hang out by the campfire at night. Come on, that's a delicious day. And I was able to get 40 hours a week of my work in still doing that, but it was a routine. And there was the time that I was actively filling myself up every single day. And then that went away. But we left New Hampshire. We landed in a beautiful spot in Vermont. It was right in the middle of Vermont. It's a little bit isolated, which was exactly what we needed. It was gorgeous and breathtaking. And it was 8 days there of just taking a deep breath. Now, I'm not completely 100% back, and there's a reason for that. The chaos in that month of New Hampshire made me fall horribly behind in work. So those 8 days, I had to balance it with some me time, but also put in a good like 60 hours of work just to get myself caught up. And I gotta tell you, this Taurus, if I'm behind in work, that's stress. That's stress. If I'm behind on my tasks and my to-do lists, I am instantly stressed. So I knew that this spot in Vermont was all about de-stressing, getting back into the groove, and part of that was working some extra hours to be able to catch up. So I'd say I'm 75% back, but yeah, that was exhausting. That was exhausting. Fun times, you know, wonderful things that we got done and great stuff, but it was too much. It was too much. So, but it's done. And we're back, like I said, we're back to the routine, which is so, so important. One thing I do want to share with you is I did take a trip to Portland and I had an absolute blast. I love to travel. Love it, love it, love it. If you can't tell by the fact that I'm full-time RVing, I love it so much. But when COVID hit, I stopped my airline travels. And it was just a decision, really. It was just a decision. If something big had happened, I would have gotten on a plane if I had to. But there was nothing pressing, so I stopped. Fast forward over a year, I got my first trip to Portland, Oregon from the New England area. Flew out of Boston, and a couple really interesting things happened that I wanted to share with you. The first one was Terry was driving me to the bus station, which I was going to take the bus to the airport. He was driving me to the bus station, and we get there and we were waiting for the bus, and he said, "You realize that for the last 9 months we've been together every day, all day?" And I was like, whoa, it just hit me. You're right. We've been together every day, all day. And I was like, why is this hitting me this way? And I realized, oh, it's because Terry and I have been together all day, every day for 9 months, happily. We make a great RV team, and I just had this overwhelming moment of gratitude. And then I was like, well, great, now I'm gonna miss you. Thanks. And I got on the bus and headed to the airport. Got to the airport, started to feel nervous. I had some nerves earlier too, but it was at the airport that I sat down and said, okay, why am I nervous? Why is this making me on edge? And I realized it's because for so long I had told myself, you can't fly, or just don't fly. And now I'm flying. So it was almost like my brain had to catch up with it and get back into the pattern of flying. I had to remember, okay, remember to take off your shoes, remember to, take off your baseball hat, because you always wear a baseball hat when you fly. And it was just a little bit awkward. There might be something that you used to do a lot of that you stopped doing during COVID. Now we're getting back to normal, vaccinated, things are starting to open up again. And maybe you're feeling that awkwardness too of like, okay, well, I just got to get used to doing this again. And I sat down at the gate, and it was the moment that the plane pulled in pre-boarding, I went, okay, I'm remembering this. I'm getting the flow again. And I started to relax into it. About halfway through on the flight, I was looking out the window, and it was the most spectacular view. I realized I'm back. Oh, I just had this moment where it just linked back in. It was like I'm back to my love of traveling. So that was very exciting. Got to the airport, or landed, got to the hotel, got set up. I had set up all my gear and everything because it was a working trip, but I settled in just fine. The next morning, cutest cup of coffee ever made in the cutest little coffee maker. That was a wonderful way to wake up. But I went downstairs to pick up my car rental. Now, here's a fun story about the car rental. The time that I went, there was such a shortage on car rentals in the regular car rental companies that a compact car was going for, wait for it, $240 a day. My answer, no. I am not paying $240 a day for a compact car. It's not going to happen. So, I mean, I travel, but I'm very budget wise. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, okay, Uber, Lyft, something like that. And then I realized I have 2 days where I have a lot of errands that I have to get done in these 2 days. And I had to rent a car. Found a website, really cool website called Turo.com. They rent luxury vehicles. And typically this would be a splurge, right? But in this case, it was a bargain. I got a Tesla for 2 or 3 days for $89 a day. Done. And I'd never driven a Tesla before, so this was a new experience, and it was fun. It was a really, really fun. So all around, that was really cool. Zippy little car running around Portland. I got on the road, and within a few miles, I saw an RV that was fun and weird and lighthearted, and I thought, yep, I am back. This is because I love wacky and weird. I groove with it, and I saw that RV and I was like, all right, I'm back in the energy. I could feel the energy anchor me in, and it just matches. It just matches for me. So fast forward, I got a bunch of stuff done, saw a bunch of people too, and it was really awesome to be able to catch up, to get a little bit of pampering, and to see my all-time favorite hairstylist of all time. In addition to traveling, I love getting my hair done. Love it. So those two are pretty far up on the list. It's a complicated list, but they're pretty far up on the list of the things that I absolutely love to do. However, when I went on the road, I did not get my hair done for 9 months. Now, for RVers who get their hair colored at salons, you know what I'm talking about. It's tough. If you're going to go on the road for an extended period of time, you're going to be far away from your stylist. And if that's the case, what do? Do you go to a local salon and cross your fingers? You go, okay, let's see if this is going to work. Or do you strategically wear hats, or strategically wear, headbands to kind of let it all blend in? Oh, that's what I did. Now, I used to be a bright red hair. If you've taken any of my online courses, you might have seen some of the courses recordings done with that bright red hair, and it was wonderful. Then COVID hit, and I had a lot of growth come in, a lot of root growth come in, like so many of us did. And it was at that moment that I realized, all right, I'm in my 40s, but I'm at least 50% gray. And I went to my stylist as soon as the salons opened up and said, all right, I think it's time to start moving to gray. So she gradually took me from red to blonde to lighter blonde to blended in blonde. And that worked really wonderful because in October I got on the road and I didn't color my hair the whole time, and it kind of looked purposeful. Yeah, well, it grew in. It wasn't the worst, but it grew in, and it didn't look horrible because of her, which is wonderful. Any hairstylist that can set you up in such a way that for 9 months it's not a strikingly horrid, root grow in thing is a wonderful, wonderful hairstylist. So went to Portland, went back to see her. She's an artist, I'm telling you. And I said, you know what? I'm ready. Let's go gray. I'm going gray. I need a little bit of funky though, but let's go gray. And she worked her magic. Absolutely night and day, the difference. There was so many different beautiful variations of color in it that it just really popped. Even in the front, there's this beautiful blue streak, and I fell in love with it. I was nervous to go gray. It's a decision. And if you're RVing and you know that you're gray, but you're working at, carbonate, I'm here to empower you and say, go gray. Step into it, because gray is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I am in love with my hair. Love it. Very grateful. So that was another really fun thing to do. And I guess that's my RV tip for the day. If you can go gray, do it. It's so freeing. You'll love it. Back to my routine, filling myself back up again, watching as my intuition starts to open. Very, very grateful. And I love the new hair. Mostly I was excited to get back to the RV, back to Terry, and back to this quirky little one.
What are you doing, Sadie? She found something to eat.
Yeah.